Welcome to Behind the Helm. We are so happy you're here with us. The show features myself and Petty Officer Dowden. We work together in Indiana as Navy recruiters. We created the show with the intention to help bring together the past, present, and future personnel of the military to help build a better understanding of what it's like to actually be a part of it. So you'll see anything from like interviews to video reactions or just personal stories of our own to help guide those who have interest in learning more about what the military has to offer and what it takes to make the ultimate sacrifice to serve your country. This podcast can be found on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and live on Facebook every Thursday at 4 p.m. And that's facebook.com/behindthehelm. So don't forget to like, share, and follow the show so you never miss out on an episode. And thank you to everyone here who supports us. Enjoy. Episode 34. Welcome to Behind the Helm. I'm Petty Officer Levesque. With me is Chief Dowden. First, I just want to say condolences to your grandmother. I know she passed away. I know, just knowing you, as much as I know you, I know that she meant a lot to you. So I just want to send my condolences and prayers to all that. So.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody in the command and friends and family that have reached out. And to my family, you know, our Navy family and our family here at Behind the Helm, between the production team and the writing team, which is you. You know, it matters. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
but anyways, if this is your first time here, welcome. Finally, if this is your 34th time, Fields. I actually talked to Fields today about that.
did you?
He didn't watch last week's episode, but
And
Fields,
you gave him a shout out.
Fields, I guess he isn't at 34 times now.
Yeah.
It's been confirmed.
But it doesn't matter if it's your first or 34th time. Make sure that you smash that like button. Comment down below. Make sure to share this feed. There's always new information that we're putting out, as you heard in the intro. You know, it may not be pertinent to you or help you, but it's going to help somebody, and that's what we're here to do, is to get that information out there. If you're watching right now live on Facebook, definitely comment. It's the best way to watch because you can interact with us as we go through, especially when we get to bonus content and live questions too. Quick note, today we do have a sponsor. Today's episode is going to be brought to you by Gordon's Grooming Gallery, which is a pet grooming salon, or G3. G3 is a pet salon that is located in Galveston, Indiana. So supporting another small local business. You know, I do happen to know the owner. It's my sister. Gordon's Grooming Gallery, G3. She has been grooming dogs and other animals for 3 years now. So you know, our homage to the Eagle today is even one of her business cards. But G3 out of Galveston, Indiana, set prices. You know, conditions and limitations may apply to some of that. But, you know, we're throwing up some pictures right now of some of her work and of the shop itself. Again, G3 located in Galveston, Indiana. Get there, tell them that Chief Dowden sent you, and you might be able to get a real good story about me or something, since they know me over there. So thanks again to Felicity Gordon, who is the owner and head groomer there. So again, G3, Gordon's Grooming Gallery. So pet salon, Galveston, Indiana.
And the homage is getting posted.
Getting pinned. It's pretty cool. Her business card's actually really cool. I don't know who designed them. Maybe I did for Christmas, but she had to have them remade because I misspelled my own sister's name.
There you go. That's the way to do it. Andrea Abbott, she says congratulations on making Chief.
Thank you.
I don't think
one of our past future sailors.
Yep.
Now living it up out in Hawaii, posting stuff like, it's like too beautiful here. Like, yeah, sorry.
Oh my God, I'm so sick of the nice water and the good food.
She's been living it up too. I see, she posts pictures on Facebook of like her and her boyfriend, if they're still together. If not, I'm sorry. Like going hiking and so really cool. You know, it's an amazing opportunity. Definitely a lot different than Gas City, Indiana. So. Thank you for being here.
All right. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about A school, right? Talking about A school.
Why are you not? You gotta get the thumb in, bro.
Talking about,
There you go.
you know how to do it.
Jeez.
Well, first, before we get into that, right? If you're watching now, you're watching Facebook Live, this is the best way to interact. If you can't catch this immediately, you can find us on YouTube, and you can find us on podcast, just audio version on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast,
Apple
Amazon,
Podcasts.
Apple, all of it.
Yeah.
You can find us anywhere. So make sure you follow the link in the description to that link tree so you can go to all of our platforms, and you can look at our Facebook accounts. Like if you want to stalk us, go ahead. Stalk away. It's there for a reason.
The only thing that you miss out on the podcast, the audio version, is you don't get that wonderful bonus content that you get on YouTube. We post that, and then obviously on Facebook. So if you watch Facebook Live, you get to interact with that as it happens. You can obviously watch it on Facebook afterwards, and then on YouTube, but you don't get quite the same interaction. No matter where you watch it, make sure that you share. Find it, like it, share, follow it. Download the podcast, and make sure to share it on whatever platform that you have, or all of them. Send it in a text to somebody or a message. I know there are a lot of my friends and people that I work with that are absolutely annoyed with me every single week, and I don't care. Yeah, you know, I know it's going to help somebody eventually. So, A school, what is A school? What are we talking about with A school? What do you mean?
All right, so Navy A school, this is what happens after boot camp. All right, it's the first stage in your technical training for your specific rating, which is job. Or if you guys think you have the military lingo, MOS, it's all kind of the same thing.
NEC for Navy is.
Yep. So, and then, the length and location of the training does depend on your specific job. Some places that you could go for A school, you're looking at California, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Mississippi, Missouri, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, and Virginia. So to any of those areas, the biggest one obviously is, I would say, TSC, Great Lakes. Could be close to Pensacola. Pensacola is pretty big too as a training facility. So
yeah, it's all. I mean, that's all the air rates.
Yeah, so you have a pretty good chance of going to one of those.
And other rates, intel rates. So the big thing is that's not where you're being stationed. And we're going to get into this a little more. So all those places we just mentioned is where this school is at. I know maybe you heard some of those and you're like, Illinois. Navy, you're going to go to Illinois. Well, that's where boot camp is. We do have another, training base there. That's just where you go for your school. So this isn't where you're going to be stationed. This is, you are for a time. Like we said, the length is different, depending on your job. And we're going to get into that too. But this is, hey, you've made it through boot camp. You're not a recruit anymore. You're now a sailor.
Yep.
Now we're going to give you this job and this training so that you know how to do this job before we send you to do the job.
Exactly. So a lot of people will kind of consider it probably your easiest time in the Navy, wouldn't you say?
I think,
it's up there.
It is. And you know what the downside of it is, and I put this out to all my future sailors all the time, to take absolute advantage of it and enjoy it, and still learn, right? So I know when I was in A school, and I don't know if you were this way, I'd be interested to know. When I was in A school and you're going through school, your job every day is to get up, get in uniform, go to school. Literally go learn these things. You're going to have some classroom learning, some hands-on, and then that's it. That's your day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go back, you make sure your room's clean, and then you're put on liberty. And I remember being in school and being like, man, I want to get out to the fleet. Like, I want to go do my job like this, and then you get out to the fleet, which is still great, but you're like, man, I wish I'd go back to school. Like,
I was just talking to, I think he might be here next week to be on the podcast again. Putney.
Oh, Putney.
Putney. I was telling him, like, look, like, A schools has all its perks, has its disadvantages, but the fleet is like, what makes the fleet fun is different than what makes A school fun. So you get a whole different. It is completely different. But like the enjoyment you get from both are kind of equal because like, yes, you're gonna be working now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more responsibility on you, but like more downtime, more or at least more like individual downtime. Like you can really be by yourself. Like if you're not a person who wants to be around everybody all the time, like once you get to the fleet, go ahead and run away like during Liberty, like because you don't have to be crowded by people. You know what I mean?
It's a simple time too.
It's a simple
I think,
time,
you
yeah.
know, like especially somebody who's coming right out of high school, like I explained to them when I'm explaining going to A school, it's like, you know, especially if they're one that's going to like one of those technical type schools, like what are those called? Alternative type, you know, schooling half the day. You know, you're going to that every day. And are you getting paid for it? Well, no. Okay, well, your job while you're in A school is to go to school. It's the same way. You're not doing A school through the weekend. I mean, you might be studying for stuff, but you do that in regular school too. But the difference is you're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Like you're in the Navy, they are paying you while you're learning a skill. Like it's awesome.
So
Awesome time.
why don't you walk us through a normal, I know it's been a minute, but like a regular day, weekday at A school.
For me,
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure me and you, it's like very similar.
very similar, and every base a little different depending. So for me, you know, we would get up and, you know, I kind of explain A school like you almost think of it like college. I say that because, like, if you think of boot camp kind of like high school, right? Every 2 weeks being a grade level, and you're staying, you know, the difference is you're staying in a large room with everybody.
Yeah.
You get to A school, you're going to school, and you're in a room with anywhere from 2 to 3 other people, like a dorm type room, just like in college, right? So we would get up in the morning, and you could either go to the galley and get breakfast. If you wanted to get up early enough. Now I will tell you that most of us didn't want to.
I don't think I ever did.
But then you could also get up a little bit early, and they would have like the grab and go bag lunches. You remember that? And then you would form up outside in uniform, and you would march to the schoolhouse right on the base. You would go in. You literally sit at a desk. You would have different instructors for the different sections, and we did not just bookwork stuff and tests, but we also did, you know, practical, what we call practicals, where you're doing hands-on, like with mocked up gear. It's actually like live gear. So you're learning that. You know, you break for lunch, go across to the galley. It's a big cafeteria.
You get a big break for lunch.
Huge break.
It's like,
was it hour and a half?
It's like an hour and a half.
And it's like right for where I was, it was right across the street, huge galley, multiple different galley cafeteria, right?
Yeah.
Multiple different lines, full salad bar, like, and that's all free. And
There's
then
like 5 different restaurants
Yeah.
that you could go to at that one in Great Lakes.
and then you'd form back up, or you come back to school, and you'd continue on your day. And I mean, it's like a normal school day. You were out by what, like 2, 3, 4. Fridays, a lot of times you might get out earlier. We weren't there on the weekends. You know, and you did that until you graduated. You took your test, you graduated. The big thing I always put out to future sailors too, and not every A school is this way, and it does change. You know, when you join the military, people have a tendency to think like, well, I joined, the military is just going to tell me where I'm going next, and that's what I'm going to do. Yes, that's true. However, sometimes there are opportunities in your career where you're going to get a say to choose where you're going, and A school could be one of your first things that you get to do with that. Most schools, and again, this is always subject to change. What they'll do is let's say you have 10 people in your class. The Navy knows that, and they're going to cut 10 orders for that job. And most schools, what they do is whoever's the top of the class gets to come in first and say, hey, here are these 10 orders. Where do you want to go? And you choose, they erase that, they bring the next person in. Where do you want to go? So even the person that graduates bottom of the class or whatever, they still are in that job and are going somewhere, but it's more of what you think of the military, like, I did, they tell me where to go, I go.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also tell future sailors, hey, don't take for granted A school. Enjoy the time, but also, like, actually try. You know, because then once you get out to the fleet, it's hands-on. And yes, the book work and the learning in A school helps, but it is 2 different skill sets. So it's important to pay attention because it gives you that groundwork.
The fleet's where you make all the connections where, like, you've learned these things and now you're applying
this is why, those moments, you know?
So that's like the, you know, coursework. So after you're done with the day, right? The day is yours, unless, of course, it is your duty day. Those are things that we have to do because the building always has to be manned, and basically security has to be set 24/7, no matter where you are in the Navy. So watch will always be a thing, unless of course you're on recruiting duty. But but yeah, we won't get into that. But either way, right? You'll have, it's usually like 4 sections. So every 4 days you'll stand a watch.
Just depends.
And you'll have to be around.
That's it. I mean, I think for my school, when we were on duty, right? We were on duty. We could leave to eat. We go to the galley. Yeah. We could stay like on base. We had to be at like sweepers like twice a day just to make sure hallways were
swept.
You
don't necessarily have to be at the building the entire time, but you do have to show up for your watch.
Yeah, like we would sit in the lounge and like watch TV or whatever, or be in our rooms like playing video games or whatever, unless we had to do our watch. So, I mean, it's so lax.
Yeah. So let's say you don't have your duty day, you're off. What they do is, because they can't just give you your freedom at once. Like, you've been cooped up in boot camp, you're ready to explode, and you'll see some people can't always handle that, and there's a reason why they can't handle it. It's because what I just said. They want some freedom. So you give someone an inch, they'll take a mile, right? That's just how some people take advantage of it. So what's going to happen is there's going to be phases to what kind of liberties you're given, what kind of freedom you're able to have. Mm-hmm. Right? Phase 1 is going to be very rigid, I would say. You're going to be wearing your uniform. You're going to, if you want to go off base, you're going to need 2 other people to go with you.
And you still have to stay in uniform.
And you have to stay in uniform the whole time. You can't stay out overnight, right? But that only lasts about 3 weeks to a month.
You have, if that. And then you have a curfew. It might be a little earlier. And again, every place is different.
Every single one's different.
But normally that's phase 1.
Phase 2, now you can wear civilian clothes when you're on Liberty. You can go off base in your civilian clothes. You only need 1 Liberty buddy. And you can stay overnight with a chit if you
request like if you're staying in town somewhere.
All right, phase 3, you're pretty much good to go.
Later curfew.
Not even that. Like, you don't need a chit to stay out overnight. Well, you do, but it's going to be approved, and you actually don't need anybody to be there.
Right.
You can go off base by yourself. You're wearing your civilian clothes whenever you want, so you're pretty much at the point where you have total freedom, but not fully.
Yeah, and it's touch and go, too, because like where I was, I was there for so long. We also had what was called Phase 3 Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Which was just like...
The white card? I've heard there's like a white card.
It was just later, like curfew, whatever. And with that being said, we're talking off base, right? So I know where I was, which is also where you were, and different places. Like on base is like as soon as you get there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can go almost all bases. I will say like all bases that you can go to, they have facilities there. They have gyms. They have what we call Liberty Centers, or like arcades, and like, place where you can go play pool and video games and watch movies, and movie theaters, and all of that you can go do as soon as you get there. And you can do it in civilian clothes. You can work out in civilian clothes. It doesn't have to be Navy PTU, but that's on base.
Yep.
There are restaurants on a lot of the bases, McDonald's, Five Guys,
Sam Adams. Were you there with Sam Adams?
Oh, I loved it.
Sam Adams was
Well, we never went to the other one because me and my roommate were older.
Yeah.
So we would go there and like watch like sports or whatever, and get a so we were over 21. We would go there and watch sports, and we get it, at the end of the day, we go get a couple beers. Mm-hmm. Like, responsibly, we're on base and like watching, sports games, sports news, and nobody questioned that because that's where you're at. Mm-hmm. Heck, when I showed up to A school, they told me when I was checking in, hey, if you have an Xbox or whatever, that's fine. Just gotta make sure it's cleaned up. What? Like, really? Yeah, I did. So, I had one, and I had Comcast cable. In my room, internet. Like, I had cable TV and internet. Like, it really is more like college.
Yep.
And the freedoms that you have. They just kind of like, it's the military bearing side of it.
Yeah.
And they don't, like you said, they're not going to just like let you off that leash.
Yeah.
Because they want to make sure that you don't wild out and ruin your career.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
and the sad reality is that is what you'll see happen there.
Yeah.
You'll see people that can't handle it
because they don't know.
It gives you a perspective of where you're at. Like, hey, I'm doing the right thing. Like, you'll see the people who have gotten in trouble, and you'll be like, makes sense. I thought that guy would get in trouble.
I'm glad I listened to Chief Dowd.
Yeah. So, talk about some of the things you could bring with you. We kind of touched on it a little bit. While family's not permitted at A school in most cases,
right?
Because you're not going to be there long enough. But if you're there for an extended time, even with my A school that was only like 7 months.
That's long enough. It has to be on orders for 6 months.
Yep. So he was able to actually bring his wife and kid out. He was married, so he had BAH. And once he had that liberty,
he went home.
He went home.
Off base. It didn't matter what phase. He went home.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, too, with that is now the base housing or military housing there is off base. It's actually not on base. It depends on where you are.
Yeah.
And when we say family, we mean if you are married or have children.
Yeah. Not flying your cousin out.
Yeah, they're not going to give you housing with your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
Okay, but when we say family is not permitted at A school, that's what we're talking about. Can your family come visit you at A school?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Like you have weekends, you have days off. If you're somewhere and your family wants to come visit for the weekend and they get a hotel, you put in that shit, your family can sign you out. You can stay out in town with your family over the weekend. They 100% can come visit you. You're not like locked away. It's not boot camp. In fact, as soon as you graduate boot camp, you can have your cell phone. You can have your laptop. You have internet access to your phone. Now, you may not, depending on the school, you're probably not going to be able to take your phone into the schoolhouse.
Yep.
But in the morning, in the afternoons, like you have that instant communication access while you're at A school.
Yep. And we talked earlier, are you going to get paid in A school? Yes. You're going to get paid in A school. You're even going to see raises while you're there.
Yep.
Sure. So it's going to be initial, so your pay is going to be lower at the time. Obviously, your entry level. You're anywhere from E1 to E3, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Some A schools you can make E4 while you're there, but I would say most of them, no, probably not going to happen. So let me ask you a quick quiz, all right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an easy quiz, all right?
Okay.
Do you have to pay for food while you're at A school?
Yes.
You do.
Technically. Okay, depends on how you're looking at it. If you're going to the galley every day,
yes.
If you're going breakfast, lunch, and dinner, no, you're not paying for that.
Yeah.
The military's paying you. You're getting a, just like we do now, a basic allowance for subsistence. Now, us not having a galley to go to, we get that in our check.
Yep.
If you are on a ship or if you are in A school, it goes into your check and then they deduct it because you go use it, right? And then the only other reason I said yes, I thought it was a trick question because you're not going to like McDonald's on base for free. Okay, that's going to cost you out of pocket.
Course.
But if you use the galley, it's paid for.
Yeah, you could literally not pay a dime for food the entire time you're there.
Yep.
Right? And the food's not that bad, to be honest with you.
I can tell you,
good.
Great Lakes is pretty good.
Pretty good. All right. Are you going to be paying for health insurance while you're there?
Absolutely not.
No. Are you going to be paying for dental?
Nope.
No. All right. Are you going to be paying for rent?
Nope.
No. Are you going to be paying for utilities?
Ooh, nope. Well,
if you got
that's
internet.
not a utility.
Yeah,
that's a luxury.
That's a luxury item.
Internet. If you get internet cable, your cell phone, just like anywhere else, those are luxuries. Those aren't considered your utilities. Even if your family's there, because you're getting BAH, which others don't have, that is to provide for that housing and those utilities. And if you're living in base housing, you don't have to pay anything. They give you the BAH and then subtract it from your paycheck. It's all taken care of, so you're not paying that cost.
Hold on. So I kind of wrote this up a little bit so people can understand, right? So this is kind of what your income would look like because it's only based on your base pay when you first come in. Right? This is the lowest it possibly could be to
just base pay.
The highest it could possibly be up to E3. Unless you make E4, it'll go higher. But we're keeping it simple. Keeping it real simple, all right? So average costs in the United States per month for food is $386.92. I don't believe that, but that's what it says.
Okay.
All right. Health insurance costs, if your employer is paying the average percentage of your health care, which is around like 83%, right? You're only looking at paying $105 a month out of pocket. That's if the employer is doing that. Not everybody has that.
It's so much more expensive than that. That is a major lowball.
Yeah. No, I looked it up.
I know. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Right.
But that doesn't include co-pays, and you have a zero deductible. So, but this doesn't if you are getting your insurance from your employer.
Okay.
All right. Dental costs $24 to $26 for a single person. All right. You're not paying for that. All right. No, and you don't have to pay for fillings, pulls, root canals, crowns. You know, you still would have to pay out of pocket even if you're paying for dental insurance. There's going to be something that comes out of your pocket. Not everything's covered. But for us, everything's covered. Rent, on average, is about $1,000. Now, for those who are watching who live in California, you're probably dying laughing looking at that.
Depends on where you're at.
But depends on you're at. Average, about $1,000. Utilities around $250. All right? So really, because all of the stuff you are not paying for, it's all included, your actual income, right? If you were to be out in the civilian world, this is really what you'd be making. You'd be making around $34.17 or $38.69 a month.
And that's baseline. That's like entry level.
Entry level, and you're going to school.
So let's say
You're not doing a job.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's say you're an E1. You're telling me as an E1, you're gonna pay me almost $3,500 a month to go to school and learn a skill. And by the way, since we've talked about the GI Bill, and we just talked about the NROTC scholarship. What else are you getting while you're at a school?
Getting some credits.
You're getting college credits. You, for whatever school you're going to, now granted, they're going to be based off of that school, you are earning upper and lower college credits. And we're not talking about Navy credits, like Navy points. These are coming from ACE, the American Council on Education, right? And they go on a transcript that you can transfer into any accredited college. Like, and you're literally getting paid for it. That's why when I used my TA, I didn't even know. I didn't know that. I didn't know I had credits. So when I went for that associate's degree, I literally had to take 6 classes. That was it. Because I had all these credits, I'd never stepped foot in a classroom. So I mean, outside of A school, you know what I mean? Not a college classroom. So wow, like what you get at A school is amazing. You know, you have hold times sometimes. And I've told people too, this is the thing to check this out. So that money we were just talking about, right? What is holds? What are we talking about there? So when you come out of boot camp and you go to A school, you might have a week or 2 week layover time where they're filling the class.
Yep.
So do I get paid during that?
Yep.
Yep, you sure do. Well, what do I do? You might have to clean, you know, a couple hours a day maybe. You might go on a working party and like do some landscaping, move some tables, desks, whatever. Depends, right? I was talking to one of my old future sailors, and they were on holds for a little bit. And they were like, yeah, you know, man, I had to clean the same area for like an hour a day. Really? Yeah. You do anything else? No. And you're still getting paid as much as somebody on a ship. You understand that, right? And they're like, wow, I didn't even think about it that way. So every now and then you'll have holds where you're in between, but you're still getting paid for that too. The reason I was in Great Lakes so long is I graduated and then went on holds for a little while before I left. Well, I was living it up, you know, because you're getting paid to do nothing, you know, until you get to that next stage. So, you know, there's a lot of benefits there, and there's a lot of opportunity to learn, and you can gain a lot while you're there if you listen and pay attention. So, A school. That's that next step.
That's that next step. So if you're interested in going to that next step, like if you're thinking like, man, I would love to get paid to learn how to do a job, right? How could I get involved in that? Well, look, if you if you send us a direct message on here, or if you comment anything on here, we'll get you directed with somebody, you know, who might know a thing or two about what that looks like, and maybe they could set something up for you to just learn about how that opportunity could be available to you.
Yeah, there's no obligation there, and it doesn't have to be us. Depending on where you're located right now, look.
We know people from everywhere.
We got connections, okay? If you're not right here in Indiana, that's okay. You know, we know people everywhere. We will get you with somebody so you can learn about your opportunities. Like always, please, you know, with this feed, find a like, a share, follow it. Comment below anything that you have. If you have a cool A school story or something that you liked about A school, and now you're in the fleet, if you're watching and you're in the Navy or we're in the Navy, we want to hear that too. Whether it's live or you comment later, if it's on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, by all means, hop on, send us a message at any of our platforms, because we'd love to hear it. But most definitely, share this feed. Make sure to smash that like button. And don't forget that today's episode was brought to you by G3 Gordon's Grooming Gallery in Galveston, Indiana. The information will be in the comments. Go get your pet groomed. Get their nails trimmed. It's bad if you let them keep growing, I think. My sister tells me all the time. I don't know.
It's not good with the nails.
It's not good with the nails. And it's not good with the matted fur. And that shedding, man. You know, you get that coat done.
It's not good with the nails.
It's not good with the nails. So keep those in check and in regs.
All right, guys. Bonus content starts in 3, 2.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You were just behind the helm. To see this podcast live, check us out on Facebook every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you were listening to this podcast on Apple or Spotify, head on over to our YouTube page to see this show and extra content. If you're on YouTube already, click the video below to see the after show and bonus content that's available right now. No matter what platform you're on, find the link in the description to find the links to all our other platforms. And as always, find it, like it, share it, and follow it. Thanks, guys.